Very good. Okay, let's move on now to Max Verstappen, because I know we're going to have our own finger-pointing thing here, because to me that was 100% Bottas's fault. I know Max got the penalty, but my view is, when I say fault, you know that if you're going to pass Max Verstappen, you don't do it on the outside, under braking into a tight corner. You know it's never, ever going to happen. If you're a Merc driver, you don't put yourself in that position. And what Max did was, as he said, you know, you want to ruin racing completely. Technically, probably it was a finable offence, but, you know, the guy just flared a little bit to the left on entry, just squeezed him a bit more. And, you know, is that a transitory curve, if you actually want the correct technical title, as defined by Piero Taruffi in his original book on the technique of motor racing. Yeah, he called that little bit you do to the left before you go to a right a transitory curve. In other words, it transitions the curve.
This sounds like absolute twat. You sound like someone on the judging panel of Strictly Come Dancing, saying your passer don't blow was merely
I will bring
passable.
in the book next week. I've got all my notes I made when I was an eight-year-old about the importance of the transitory curve.
In the margin?
Not in the margin, in the preface, actually, where it's all white pages. I drew lots of diagrams around it. That's absolutely... And I'm sure Max has done exactly the same thing with the same book. And this is...
I think you're talking out of your
transitory curves are not a deviation of line. That is my point. I'd like to have anybody say I'm wrong about that. I'm not wrong.
I reckon Bottas would say you're wrong there, but then again, he probably would.
I love Valtteri. He's a great racing driver, but I do think he needs a little bit more of the Lewis Hamilton. Is this the right guy to pass on the outside or not? That's the thing. And you don't put yourself in that position. And I agree with Max. I think it's bad for racing if you constantly penalise for things like that. This wasn't, boom, take him out. And we've seen plenty of that.
It's just a transitory curve.
Anyway, let's move on to the next one.
No.
Yeah, that's enough.
You have got more chance of predicting when a meteorite is going to land on Elvis Presley's head than you have of working out where Max Verstappen is going to transitory curve or swerve in the braking zone.
That's part of the charm of Max, isn't it? He's a great racing driver, and he's always got the car flat and nice and ready to go, and everybody should recognise that. I will not become a critic of Max Verstappen. I refuse to do it. I'm sorry. Moving on to the next driver now.
Caravan with a wonky back axle.
Not at all. Not at all. He's very much
transitory curving onto the campsite.
No way he's ever had a caravan behind him, ever. He's a fast, self-contained Dutch racing driver with no caravan.
All you can probably say is you should never try and pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side.
Let's move on to the next one, because obviously I've won this argument, and I'll give you a little bit of room on the next one now.